Hey, ladies and gentlemen. Uh, I'm just making this video to help you with the homework. First part is I'm going to help you walk through how to do a Punnett square. If you already understand this part, then fast forward, and I'm going to help you set up um, the Punnett squares in the homework. All right, so how do you do a Punnett square? This is a Punnett square right here, and we have four squares that represent possible children. I say possible children because these kids have not been born. In fact, it's not even children, it's child, singular. So we're going to pretend you and your partner are pregnant, you're expecting, but you don't know what this kid looks like yet because the kid's not born. So you don't know what traits you passed on. This is your way of being able to take a guess, an educated guess at what traits this child might have. And each possibility is a 25% chance. So, what are you passing on to the kid? Those are your genes. We call those genes alleles. Alleles are the genes that you and your partner are giving your kid, right? So, we're not going to write out the big, long, convoluted code of A's, T's, C's, and G's of your DNA. That is way too much. So, we're just going to pick a symbol to represent that allele. I chose the letter B. All right. It can be a capital letter or a lowercase letter. Remember, your genes come in two flavors. Either they are dominant or they're recessive. Dominant alleles are the ones that will show up on your body. Recessive alleles don't want to. They will only show up if they're the only option. All right. And remember, you have two parents, so you have two alleles. And everyone's different. So I don't know what you have. So we're just going to pretend you are whatever I'm making up. All right. So up here, we're going to call this mom. Mom is hanging out at the top. And then over here, dad is on the side. So what are mom's alleles? I don't know. Everyone's different. So we're going to make it up. We'll say mom has a dominant allele from one of her parents and a recessive allele from the other parent. And we'll say dad has a dominant allele from one of his parents and another dominant allele from his other parent. His mom gave him a dominant and his dad gave him a dominant. Make it a bit easier. What do these alleles mean? Let's say that these are the genes that are coding for your eye color, right? So capital B is the dominant brown eye color, and the lowercase b is the recessive blue eye color. So brown and blue. Dad has two brown alleles. Dad has brown eyes. Mom has a brown allele and a blue allele. But brown's dominant, right? That means brown wins. Mom has brown eyes, but she still is carrying the blue genetics. It's in her DNA. She has it. She's just not using it, but she might pass it on to her kid. So let's look at the possible child. This is a major if because mom has two alleles, but she can only pass one. Which one? I don't know. You don't know. She doesn't know. It's a coin flip. Seriously, 50-50 shot. Either mom passes on this one or she passes on this one. So flip a coin in your head. Heads, it's B, big B. Tails, it's little b. Oh, my mental coin landed on heads. So she's passing on the big B. So I'm going to leave this here. She doesn't actually give it. She makes a copy. Remember in the cell cycle, S phase, make a copy of your genes. So she passes that on, and dad passes this one on. Why these two here? Because this square is touching this one and this one, right? This is if mom gives this and dad gives this together, then we have a 25% chance that this kid is big B, brown eyes. But what if mom passed on this B? We're just going to keep going all the way down with it. And dad passed on this B. This is a different B, right? Dad's first B, dad's second B, right? Do you think it matters? No, they both say brown eyes. So that means another 25% chance of the kid having brown eyes. Brown eyes. That's 50% chance. 25 plus 25, 50. What if dad passed on? Copy. What if dad passed on a copy of his big B, and mom passed on a copy of the little b. Then, well, big B is dominant, brown is dominant, so still brown eyes. And then if dad passed on the big B and mom passed on a little b, brown is still dominant, brown wins. So this is a 100% chance that the kid will have brown eyes. 25 plus 25 plus 25 plus 25 is 100. Why does this matter though? Because we're talking about eye color. That's the phenotype, what shows up on your face. The genotype is the genes. So these are the genes. 50% chance that the kid is going to be big B, big B. We call that homozygous dominant. It's a vocab word. And a 50% chance that the kid is big B, little b. We call that heterozygous. Hetero means different, two different alleles. Why is this important? Not to the kid, but it might be important to the grandkids. Because the kid grows up, if this kid grows up, it's only two big B's to pass on. But if this kid grows up, there's a chance they'll pass on the little b. So they could have a blue-eyed, this couple might have a blue-eyed grandchild. That's a possibility. Let's switch it up. Let's say dad had blue eyes. In order to have the recessive blue eyes, that has to be the only option. So now dad has two little b's. Let's get rid of these and do it again. This time, mom passes on the big B here. Dad passes on the little b here. Mom passes on the big B. Dad passes on the little b. And then straight down, mom passes on the little b. And then straight across, dad passes on this little b. And then straight down again. And then straight across. Now, big B, little b. Big B's dominant, big B wins. That's brown eyes. Same thing here. So 25 and 25, 50% chance the kid will have brown eyes. Here, little b and little b. That's blue and that's blue. Blue's the only option. It may be recessive, but it's the only option this kid has. So blue eyes. Another one, blue eyes. So 25 and 25 is 50%. There's a 50% chance that this couple will have a kid with brown eyes and a 50% chance to have a kid with blue eyes. That is how we're going to do Punnett squares. So let's take a look at the actual homework. We went over this in class. So I'm just helping you set up the Punnett squares. All right, so SpongeBob recently met Sponge Susie round pants at the dance. Sponge Susie is heterozygous. That means two different alleles for her round shape. It means heterozygous. She has one dominant and one recessive. And what's the rule? The dominant one always wins. So if she has a dominant trait, she's showing it. And it says round, she has a round shape. That round shape must be dominant because that's what she's showing. So we're going to use S for shape. So she's heterozygous, big S, little s. Big S, little s, right? The dominant one always wins. So whatever she is this. She's round. So this is round. SpongeBob is square. That must be the recessive. So little s, little s. There, that is set up now. And just like the other Punnett squares we just did, bring the big S all the way down, little s all the way down, this little s all the way over, this little s all the way over. Number 2, Patrick met Patty at the dance. Both of them are heterozygous for their pink body color. So I'm going to use C for color. So it says they're both heterozygous, two different alleles, big C and little c. And they're both heterozygous, so big C, little c. and they're heterozygous for their pink, which is dominant over yellow. So this one is pink, this one is yellow. They're both pink because dominant wins. I mean, both of them, Patrick and Patty. This allele is pink, this allele is yellow. So what is the possibility likelihood that the children will be pink? What's the likelihood that children will be yellow? Fill this out. Each square is 25%. Do the math, figure it out. Number 3, everyone in Squidward's family has light blue skin. Oh, that's a typo there. Which is the dominant trait for body color in the hometown of Squid Valley. So they're light blue, and that is dominant. His family brags that they're purebred. So that means homozygous dominant, 2 dominant alleles. So what am I going to use? I will use, oh, it tells you, big B, little b. All right, so Squidward, that is dad. So big B, big B. Why 2 big B's? Because the family claims they're purebred, which is homozygous dominant. Both alleles will be the same. And big B because they said that that is the dominant trait. He married a girl who's light green. So she does not have the dominant trait. So she is showing the recessive trait, then she must have the recessive alleles. The only way to show recessive is to have 2 recessives. All right. So now we got dad, we got mom, put them together. Assume that one of Squidward's sons, who is heterozygous, all right, so Squidward's son is heterozygous. Big B, little b, hetero means different, 2 different alleles, big B, little b, for his light blue, because the dominant light blue wins. And he married a girl who is also heterozygous, big B, little b. Create a Punnett square that shows those possibilities. So now fill them out and figure out the percentages. And now number 5, this one is interesting. Mr. Krabs and his wife recently had little Krabby, but it has not been a happy occasion for them. Mrs. Krabs has been upset since she first saw her baby who has short eye stalks. She claims that the hospital goofed and mixed up her baby with someone else's baby. Mr. Krabs is homozygous for his tall stalks, right? That means he has 2 of the same, homozygous. Whatever his alleles are, they're the same ones, twice. We don't know if it's dominant or recessive yet. His wife is heterozygous for her eye stalks. Some members of her family have short eyes, which is the recessive trait. Okay, so short eyes is recessive. And Mr. Krabs, what is it? Mr. Krabs is homozygous for his tall. So if short is recessive, tall is dominant, and he is homozygous. So homozygous means the same, and he is dominant, so he has 2 dominants. Mrs. Krabs is heterozygous. Big B, I said big T, little t. And now you fill that out and find out, is it possible that they have a child who is recessive, meaning homozygous recessive? Yes or no? Is it possible that the little kid will have 2 little t's? And then, did the hospital make a mistake? Yes or no? If the kid is, if it's impossible for them to have a recessive child, then yes, the hospital made a mistake. If it's not impossible, then we can assume no, they didn't. And then explain whatever your answer is, why you chose it. All right, guys? So, good luck.